What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, rise up. It is Sunday night, and I do want to go ahead and do a post-game show for the Houston Texans game today. The Houston Texans did win, and our Falcons did fall to 1-4. First of all, big ups to all the Houston Texans fans. You guys were the better team today. Couple things I want to jump right into. Just want to talk about the game. Talk about some things going forward. First off, like I said, our Atlanta Falcons now sit at 1-4. We are still in last place in our division. I'm at 1-4. Good news is we haven't played any NFC South teams so far this year. So we're still not out of the playoff picture. We still have 11 games to go. It's still a lot of season left. I did mention in my last video that this was a must-win game. And the reason I said that is because we do have to start gaining ground, as I said before, against the Saints and against the Carolina Panthers. Both teams won today. I believe the Panthers are now 3-2, and I believe the Saints are now 4-1. So it's not impossible for us to catch either one of those teams because we have to play both teams twice. But at this point, the way that the season's been going, we're going to need to basically sweep all of the teams in our division, basically, to make it interesting for us to be able to win this division because we've lost too many games already. But a couple things I want to jump into. In my keys to victory in this game, I did say that we needed to keep Deshaun Watson in the pocket. We needed to contain on him when he tried to break the pocket. We didn't do a good job of doing that today. He broke the pocket numerous times, and I know that's easier said than done, keeping a running quarterback in the pocket. But we just have to do a better job because we're going to have to play a number of mobile quarterbacks this season, and we have to do a better job at learning how to rush the passer without creating a whole bunch of rush lanes for the quarterback to be able to run through those lanes and gain first downs and be able to step through those running lanes and make deep passes down the field. I told you guys in my last video about Will Fuller and that he was a speedster. He ended up having 3 touchdowns today. That was part of my keys to victory, is limiting the big plays and the explosive plays. They had way too many explosive plays, and that is one of the things that is killing this Atlanta Falcons team this year. We're giving up way too many explosive plays to the offensive teams. Hopkins had a couple catches today. I believe Darren Fells had 2 touchdowns. Will Fuller had 3 touchdowns. And those big explosive plays really killed us today. Another key to victory was to keep the penalties down. We did keep them down for the most part from the last couple of games, but we still had close to 10 penalties, which is still too many penalties to be able to play winning football. I also talked about Isaiah Oliver and his status of being able to cover and improve at that cornerback position. He didn't look good today again, y'all. He's looking very frustrated, looking very confused out there on the field, like he's not realizing what offenses is really trying to do to him. And part of it, his struggles, I believe, is also coaching. Like I said before, we're playing way too much soft zone coverage. These cover 3s, cover 2s, cover 6s. We're not bringing any pressure. Today we had 0 sacks again. I believe we had 0 sacks as well against the Titans. So we're giving these quarterbacks way too much time to just sit back there and analyze the defense and make passes. And as I was listening to the broadcast today, they were talking about how we like to run a lot of zone coverage, and we've been getting exposed because teams have been carving up that zone coverage because we're not getting any type of pass rush. Today, the Texans had almost 600 yards total offense today. it was just a bad day all around for a Falcons fan. A bad game for the Falcons. One bright spot, we did score 32 points on the offensive side of the ball, so the offense did look a little bit better. But one of the keys to this game was in the third quarter. I don't believe we scored any points in the third quarter. I think we had like three back-to-back 3-and-outs where the Texans were able to go on a 17-0 run in the third quarter. So that really hurt us. But like I said, man, this team can win games. I seen the team today. They played tough. It looks like they did play with heart today. They didn't give up, as a lot of Falcons fans been saying that this team is giving up on Dan Quinn. I don't believe this team has given up on Dan Quinn by any stretch of the imagination. I do believe he still has these players' ear, and he still has clout in the locker room. Like, he still has respect of his team and his players. I do think that they still believe in Dan Quinn's philosophy of the brotherhood, but some things has to change. We need to make some. Dan Quinn needs to make some adjustments to his defense, because Isaiah Oliver and Desmond Trufant looked really, really bad today. The secondary looked pretty bad today, and the defense as a whole looked pretty bad today. But I feel like one of the problems is Isaiah Oliver is still a young player. He's still trying to develop. He's still a very raw player. So I feel like we need to play a little bit more man coverage and press man, which will allow Isaiah Oliver to use his strength, which is his length and how big of a corner he is. But us playing all this off coverage where we're playing like 8 to 10 yards off, we're giving these quarterbacks way too much time, rhythm. I believe today Deshaun Watson was 28 of 33 passing the ball on his completions, which is ridiculous. That means it was only like 4 or 5 balls that were dropped or that hit the ground today. Everything else was caught for a reception, and a lot of them was over 20-yard receptions, which is definitely explosive plays. Now, one thing that I didn't think about, but I was talking to another Falcons fan, I think I read like a Falcons blog. It was talking about us missing, not Isaiah Oliver, but Robert Alford, and us missing Brian Poole from last year in the secondary. We're really missing those veteran players. They really understood their roles. They knew their roles. As much as people didn't like Robert Alford, I was not one of those people that was a Robert Alford hater or dislike Robert Alford's game by any stretch of the imagination. I think that Robert Alford was a better player than Isaiah Oliver. Now, it's not fair to say that now, because Isaiah Oliver does need some time to develop. But just at this point in his career, from the games that I've seen, I preferred Robert Alford over Isaiah Oliver because he was more of an explosive athlete. He was a fast athlete. The only thing with that Robert Alford, he had a lot of penalties because he was a very physical corner. But one thing that I liked about Robert Alford is he actually got up in the receivers' faces. He tried to disrupt the timing of routes, and he did a good job of jumping routes and getting picks. He did take a lot of chances, but sometimes those chances, it was like high risk, high reward type situations, where right now Isaiah Oliver is just being torched in every single way. He's being taken advantage of. So I hope Dan Quinn makes some type of adjustment. Maybe it's time to give Kendall Sheffield a chance on the outside, or maybe Jordan Miller on the outside. But something must change. Also, I didn't like seeing that Jonathan Cyprien was actually placed on the field today, because he looked confused. Every time he was placed out there on the field, he looked confused, which can be very understandable because he just signed with the team this week. So I didn't think that he would actually play this week because he just got on the team and he needs time to learn the playbook. But nevertheless, he did get in the game. He made a couple tackles, but he just looked confused in coverage. And a lot of our guys look confused in coverage. So I don't know if the scheme that Dan Quinn is running is confusing the players, or they're just not using the proper technique and not executing. I'm not too sure, but like I said, it was just a tough game today, y'all. It was a tough game to watch. It looked like we got out to a little bit of a better start, but we still was snake bitten, and we still got down by 17 points in the third quarter. So this was like the fourth or fifth game where we had a huge deficit. So they try to come back from. So it's time for us to definitely get our act together. One good thing that I saw after the game, Arthur Blank did his press conference, and he mentioned in his press conference that he does have trust. He does trust his coaching staff, and that he doesn't plan on making any changes as far as firing anybody in the middle of the season. And I like to hear that, because I didn't want to see any of our coaches get fired in the middle of the season, especially not Dan Quinn, the head coach. I believe that he needs time to try to right this ship, because if you fire the head coach at this point, you don't have time to bring in a new head coach. So you're going to basically have to take one of his assistants and basically make them be the interim or the lame duck coach. And I don't want to see that. I do believe that Dan Quinn still has time to turn this around, and he can possibly turn this around, and the Falcons could possibly turn this season around. Next week we do play the Arizona Cardinals. So hopefully we can get at least one win that'll get us back in, get us back on track to trying to get into the playoffs. But I just wanted to go ahead and do the video. I didn't want to wait till tomorrow. If you see this, I do have my Atlanta Falcons blanket around me because it's pretty chilly right now in my house. But like I was saying before, to all my Falcons fans and everybody in that Falcons Nation, the brotherhood, don't give up. The season's not over yet. We still have plenty of time to try to right the ship here. Couple other things that I really want to get into really quick. The refs have the refs this year have been pretty bad. The officiating crew hasn't been too good this season in these games. I've seen a lot of questionable calls, a lot of bad calls, where we are getting a lot of penalties, but on top of the bad penalties that they're calling. One of the most egregious plays today on the officiating was when we did the kickoff return, and the guy on the other team, on the Houston Texans, the ball was getting ready to go out of bounds on the kickoff return, and he ran and caught the ball on the sideline and ran out of bounds with the ball, and they put the ball on the 40-yard line, other than leaving the ball at the 10-yard line where it landed and where the guy picked the ball up, because they said that the offensive player didn't have 2 feet in bounds to be able to secure the catch, which was the incorrect call. So that was on like the last drive where we needed to make a stop and try to get the ball back to Matt Ryan. It was still like 3 minutes or 2 minutes or something like that on the clock. So that was a key play, because they put them on the 40-yard line, which put them almost in our red zone, or almost across the 50-yard line in field goal range. So that was a huge mistake, a huge blown call by the referees, and there was a bunch of careless calls by the referees. One was a illegal shift call, where clearly the person doing the broadcast, Rondé Barber, was like, "This is the incorrect call. This was no pre-snap motion." Basically, he was saying that it was not a legal shift. And that was one of the plays where we were like almost in the red zone, and they moved us back 10 yards. So it was like 1st and 20 or 2nd and 20, which we kept getting behind the chains again in this game. So like I said, we just didn't do a lot of the things that I said in my keys to victory video, because one of my keys to victory was keeping the turnovers down, the explosive plays down, and the penalties down. And we didn't do a good job of that today. Like I said, I do believe we can get on a roll and win some games, because if you look around the league, there's no dominant teams right now as far as the NFC. You have a lot of teams that's winning games, but all of these games are coming down to the wire. On Thursday night, the Seahawks game and the Rams game came down to a missed field goal. Like a lot of these games with these teams that have good records, like the Seahawks are 4-1, they could easily be 3-2 or even 2-3 because the week 1 game for the Seahawks, they played the Bengals and they won by like 1 point. So if we can get some of this luck to go our way, some of these games to start bouncing our way, we definitely can get back in the thick of things. Matt Ryan talked about it at the end of the game on his press conference that he had. He said that we put ourselves in this hole, so now we have to dig ourselves out of it. I did like to hear the grit in his voice and that they're definitely trying to get all of these situations handled and together. But like I was saying, I do think we have time to turn this thing around, but it must start on Sunday against the Cardinals. We must win that game because they're an NFC opponent. Good news is most of the games that we've lost so far have been against AFC opponents. The only game that the one game that we won was against the Eagles, which is the NFC opponent. So we are still in decent shape. As much as it seems like it's panic time, it's panic mode. It's not time to panic. We still have a chance to make the playoffs, but we definitely have to start winning some games. Starting this week, we must go on a winning streak somehow, somewhere. We can't afford to keep losing games. But I believe that Dan Quinn and this staff can get things turned around. If not, it may cost them the job at the end of the year. I just didn't want to see Dan Quinn get fired in the middle of the year, because I feel like if you fire a head coach in the middle of the season, you're basically conceding defeat and saying, like, we're trying to start over. We're hitting the refresh button. And usually when you do that, you have another 3 to 5 years where you're not even in contention. So I'm going to get ready to get off of here. Like I said, the Houston Texans did take the game. I still have much love for my Dirty Birds and for all of the Dirty Bird fans out there. Rise up. Please like, share, subscribe to my video, to this page. Even if you're a Houston Texans fan, go ahead and hit that like button for your boy. Hit that share button for your boy. Hit that subscribe, that like, share it to all your Falcons friends or any football fans. If you would like to donate to my channel, you basically can go to the Cash App. It'll be the $, Jew Talk Sports, and you'll be able to donate to my channel if you like. Like I said, I'm going to keep bringing you this Atlanta Falcons positive content. Like I said, we just need to go ahead and get the ship righted, which I believe that we can do in this coming week. We can definitely work. And once we play the Cardinals, we'll have a chance to at least get back to 2-4, and we can keep working our way up 1 week at a time, y'all. But as I said before, I look forward to the rest of the season. It is 11 games left in the season, so we have plenty of time to go ahead and get this stuff corrected, these small things corrected. Hopefully, we get Jamon Brown back from the concussion protocol, because today our offensive line looked really bad. Wes Schweitzer was beat numerous times by J.J. Watt, and even Caleb McGarry. They were having their hands full with J.J. Watt all day today, which is understandable because J.J. Watt is probably one of the greatest defensive ends to ever play in this sport. But with that being said, I'm going to get ready to get up off here, man. I just want to go ahead and do a quick video. I might even do a video tomorrow. But like I said, I still have faith in this team. I like that Arthur Blank is sticking with Dan Quinn for the time being, at least to the end of the season is what I'm thinking. And let's see if we can get this thing turned around, man. Like I said, this is your boy Jew signing off. Y'all have a good night. I might go ahead and do a video tomorrow for y'all and just talk a little bit more, because it's really late right now and I don't want to be up here too late. But like I said, this is your boy Jew. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe. As always, rise up, Falcons Nation. I'm out. Peace.